Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. We're going to be talking about something today that's probably on a lot of people's minds, home affordability, or should I say lack thereof in 2025. We're digging into Bankrate's latest report, and let me tell you, it is chock full of, really eye-opening insight.
It's a doozy.
So yeah, let's get into it. Let's see what the biggest hurdles are facing people who are hoping to be homeowners today, and maybe see if there are any signs of hope at all.
It's a real roller coaster, that's for sure. This report is not trying to hide how hard things are right now in the housing market.
Right.
But there are some pretty interesting perspectives on, how people are trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Even, succeeding.
Okay, so let's get into the details.
Yeah.
Bankrate found that 81%, a huge percentage of people who want to buy a home, said that the down payment and closing costs are just a huge obstacle.
Yeah.
Like it's this giant wall standing between them and owning a home.
Yeah, it's way more than just a hurdle. I mean, 52% called it very significant. Wow.
So, that's more than half of potential homeowners who feel like they just can't even get started.
Right. So it's no wonder that 20% of the folks that they surveyed said, like, straight up, they'll never be able to save enough for a down payment.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you even start with that, right?
It's really discouraging, that's for sure, especially when you think about all the things going on at the same time.
Right.
Like, home prices going up, and inflation, and just not really knowing what's going to happen with the economy.
Yeah.
It just makes people feel, I don't know, like they're stuck, like they're running on a treadmill and going nowhere.
So is the American dream of, owning a home, is that just gone for a whole generation? Like, is it only for rich people now?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, yes, the challenges are definitely real, but the report also shows that people are being really creative.
Okay.
They're finding ways. Some people are doing these really interesting things with saving.
Right. Some people are looking into programs that are, especially for first-time home buyers, and some are even getting help from their families.
Okay.
I mean, it's inspiring to see how people are making it work, even when it's so tough.
Right. That's good to hear. But even if you do manage to get over that down payment hurdle, the report also points out something else, something that can be really hard, and that is all those hidden costs.
Right.
The stuff that people don't always think about.
Right. You mean like the unexpected costs, the stuff that can turn your dream home into a financial nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. 40% of people who own homes now said that they wish they'd been more prepared for, maintenance and all the other things that come up that you don't necessarily budget for.
It's a really common blind spot, especially for people buying their first home.
Yeah.
They're so focused on getting the mortgage
that
they don't always realize how much it's going to cost to actually keep the house up and running.
Yeah.
All the repairs and the property taxes, too.
Right. It's like buying a car and forgetting about gas and insurance.
Yeah.
You might be able to swing the initial cost, but can you really keep up with it?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where a lot of homeowners end up struggling.
Yeah.
They get caught in this cycle of unexpected repairs, and then property taxes going up, and then the cost of just running the house, like electricity and water, all going up.
Yeah.
All while they're trying to make their mortgage payment.
Right. It's a lot to juggle.
It is. So this is something super important for anybody who's even thinking about buying a house.
Okay.
You got to think beyond just the mortgage payment.
Oh.
Think about how much you might have to spend on maintenance.
Yeah.
Find out what property taxes are like in your area, and really just be ready for anything. It could be the difference between, feeling okay financially and just being stressed all the time.
So it's like you're saying you got to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
Not just that one monthly payment.
No, exactly. You have to understand the true cost, the cost of actually owning the house. And you have to be prepared for the long haul.
Right. But despite all this, despite all these obstacles, the report actually reveals something kind of surprising.
Oh, you mean the fact that a lot of people still believe in the American dream?
Yeah, like a lot of people.
Owning a home, yeah.
Yeah, a whopping 78% of Americans still say that owning a home is like a key part of the American dream. Kind of amazing when you think about all the challenges.
It really shows you how strong that idea still is.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, owning a home means stability, security, and a sense of having achieved something. It's something real, a place to put down roots and build a future.
So even with prices going up and the economy being uncertain, people still really want to own their own piece of the pie.
Yeah, it's a deep desire, like it's built into our culture. And even though it's harder than ever to make that dream a reality, a lot of people are still determined to find a way.
But how are they doing it? Are
Yeah.
they making sacrifices? Are they like changing what they expect? Are they finding new ways to do things?
Well, that's what we're going to dig into as we look closer at this report. It's a really interesting look at how homeownership is changing, because things just aren't as affordable as they used to be.
Well, I'm definitely curious to hear more about that.
Hmm.
It sounds like people are coming up with new rules for how to be a homeowner in this new market.
They are. They definitely are. And what's really amazing is how resilient and determined people are. It really shows you how powerful that dream of owning a home is, even with all the challenges. It's kind of amazing how, even with all these problems, people are still figuring out how to buy a home. One thing the report talks about is this disconnect, like between people who already own homes and the people trying to buy one.
A disconnect, you mean like the folks who've already made it to the top of Mount Affordability? They don't quite get how hard it is for the people still trying to get there?
Exactly. It seems like maybe people who already own homes don't really understand how hard it is for people trying to buy now. It's like when you look back on a really tough hike after you've reached the top, the view is amazing, but you kind of forget how hard it was to get there.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about the obstacles when you're not facing them anymore. So how does this disconnect show up in the report?
Well, they asked both homeowners and people hoping to buy a home about how they saved up for a down payment, and the answers were pretty interesting. A lot of the homeowners just said, "Oh, we just saved up."
Okay, but saving a ton of money is easier said than
Yeah.
done, right? I mean, especially now.
Exactly. The people trying to buy a home now, they're facing a totally different reality. They have to get creative. They're looking into those first-time home buyer programs or maybe using money from their retirement savings or even getting help from family. It's really different from just saving up.
So it's not just about putting money aside anymore. It's about like having a strategy, finding resources, maybe even making some tough choices.
Yeah, exactly. And this difference in how people are approaching it, it really shows you how much bigger the affordability gap is getting. What worked for people a few years ago just doesn't work now.
So it's like there are these two parallel universes in the housing market.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
On one side, you've got the people who bought when it was easier. And on the other, you have people who are struggling to even get started.
Right. And this difference, it doesn't just affect people's finances, it affects them emotionally too.
Yeah, I can imagine. It must be really frustrating to feel like you're being priced out of the market.
Exactly. We've talked about the money part, but we can't forget about the emotional side of all this. It's about people's dreams being put on hold, their goals feeling out of reach. It can make people feel left behind.
It's sad to think about something as basic as having a place to live becoming a source of so much stress.
And the report shows that a lot of people are feeling pessimistic and frustrated, like they feel shut out,
Yeah.
and it can really affect their confidence. It's not just about the numbers, it's about feeling like your dream is slipping away.
So what can people do? Is there any hope for the people who are feeling overwhelmed by all of this?
The report doesn't give any easy answers, but it says that we need to address this from a lot of different angles. Like, we need to look at the big systemic problems and also the challenges that individuals are facing.
Okay, so break that down for us. What are some of the key takeaways? What can people do if they're feeling lost in all of this?
First of all, don't give up.
Okay.
Owning a home might mean having to adjust your plans a little, make some compromises, but it's not impossible.
So you're saying don't give up on the dream, just maybe adjust it a little.
Exactly. And don't limit yourself. Look at all the options. Find out about those first-time homebuyer programs. See if you qualify for down payment assistance. Look at different kinds of mortgages. It's like building a toolkit for how to navigate the housing market.
So you're saying knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to making decisions about something this big.
Absolutely. The report also talks about how important it is to understand your finances. The more you know about mortgages, interest rates, how the closing process works, the whole home buying journey, the better choices you're going to make.
It's about taking the mystery out of it, understanding it so you can make good choices.
Exactly. And don't forget about other people. Connect with other people who are trying to buy a home, talk about your experiences, and get advice from people who've done it successfully.
It's like joining a hiking group.
Yeah.
You encourage each other, share tips, celebrate when someone reaches the top.
I love that analogy. And remember, even if the path to owning a home is longer and harder than it used to be, it can still lead you to somewhere amazing.
So it's about enjoying the journey,
Yeah.
even with all the ups and downs, and finding strength in knowing that other people are going through the same thing. But before we move on, did the report say anything about things getting better? Are there any signs that this affordability crisis might ease up a little in the future?
Yeah, it would be great to have some good news for the people listening who are, feeling kind of down about all this. Did Bankrate say anything about anything that could make things easier? Like, are there any predictions about what could happen with affordability?
Well, the report doesn't make any promises,
Right.
but it does mention a few things that could maybe help buyers out a little.
Okay, I'm listening. What are some of the good signs?
Well, one thing is that home prices might not go up as fast as they have been. Prices have been climbing like crazy for years, but some experts think that might slow down a bit.
So instead of these huge jumps in price, maybe it'll be more gradual.
Yeah, exactly. And if that happens, it could give buyers a chance to, catch up a little bit and make offers that are more competitive. Yeah, that makes sense. What else? What other things could help buyers?
Well, mortgage rates could go down. They're pretty high right now, but they can change a lot. Even a small drop could make a big difference.
Yeah, I can see that. Even a little bit lower could mean smaller monthly payments, and that would make it easier for people who don't have a ton of money.
Exactly. And then there's the possibility of more homes becoming available. If there's more supply, it could help keep prices from going up so much, and that would make the market more balanced. Give buyers a little more power.
So it's not all bad news. There are some things that could happen that would make it easier to buy a home, especially for the people who are feeling priced out right now.
That's a good way to put it. It's kind of a wait and see situation, but there are some possibilities out there.
But even if those good things do happen, the report still says there's one really important thing to remember, right?
Yeah, people still need to plan ahead and be ready to adapt.
So even if the market changes, people who want to buy a home can't just sit around and wait for things to get easier. They have to be proactive, come up with a plan, and use their resources.
Exactly. The housing market is always changing. People need to stay informed, look at their options, and be ready to, change their expectations and how they're going about things.
Yeah. So it's about being flexible
Yeah.
and being willing to change course if you need to.
Yeah. Well said. You have to be determined, but also ready to adapt. And, we can't forget about the emotional side of things either. It can be really stressful and anxiety-inducing to deal with this market.
Right, right. We've talked about the financial challenges, but yeah, the emotional part can be just as tough. You can get caught up in feeling frustrated and disappointed.
The report actually talks about taking care of yourself and finding support. You're not alone in this, Talk to other people, share what you're going through, and don't be afraid to get professional help if you need it.
So it's about building a network of support, knowing that other people are going through the same thing and celebrating each other's wins along the way.
Exactly. And remember, even with how crazy the housing market is, don't let buying a house become the only thing that matters. Take care of yourself, spend time with people you care about, and find things to enjoy, even while you're working towards your goals.
It's about finding a balance, right?
Yeah.
Not letting the dream of owning a home take over your whole life.
Beautifully put. And on that note of, resilience and hope, I think we've covered the main points from Bankrate's Home Affordability Report.
We've definitely taken a deep dive into this, haven't we?
We have.
We've looked at the challenges, the possible solutions, and even how this whole thing can make you feel.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting look at a topic that's important to a lot of people.
And as we wrap up, I want our listeners to feel like they can do this. I mean, yes, it's tough to afford a home, but there is hope. There are creative ways to make it happen, smart choices to make, and ultimately, I believe that the dream of homeownership, however that looks for each person, is still possible.
I totally agree. It might be a longer and harder road than it used to be, but with determination and resourcefulness and with people supporting each other, it's a journey worth taking.
That's a great way to end this. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into home affordability. We hope this has given you some good information and maybe even some optimism as you continue on your own path towards owning a home.
And until next time, happy house hunting.